You're ready to make a win now move. You want to trade away a 2024 first, but you aren't quite sure who to target and what is feasible. On today's episode of the Regression to the Mean podcast, we are going to give you trades for every 2024 first round rookie pick to help you set yourself up for big time success in 2024. I am your host, Sean Moran, and I am joined by my co-host, my good friend, my fellow birthday mate, and knower of ball, Aidan Haller. Aidan, how we doing, man?
I'm doing well, Sean. It is Friday. It is a beautiful sunny day. We are a week away from the NFL Combine, just about 3 weeks away from free agency, and it feels like football never ends. We are like right back into the swing of things, and the new cap number came out today, which was they're just ballooning this thing. So we're gonna see some mega deals this March. It's exciting. Football never left. We never left. We're still here. So no, I'm excited, man.
Is it over 250?
255.
Oh, that's big for Ayuk. That's big for bringing Brandon back.
It's huge, right?
It's
huge
big
for anyone that's looking for a contract this summer.
That's big time.
Like the market's going to be reset at like probably most positions this summer, and people are going to be confused. But it's like relative. They just keep there's just more money now. Like the pot keeps getting bigger, so of course the biggest contract relative is going to get bigger too.
Today's episode is simple. We are breaking down our favorite trade targets for each section of 2024 rookie drafts. We've broken the first round into 4 sections: picks 1 through 3, picks 4 through 6, 7 through 9, and 10 through 12. And we have a couple guys in each range that we think are worth trading for. The format we will be discussing is full point PPR Superflex tight end premium, which I think personally is the best dynasty format. If you don't have tight end premium, go bug your league mates. Go bug your commissioner. Make it happen. Tight end premium is fantastic. But before we dive into today's episode, if you are part of the 70% of people who are watching this video and have not yet subscribed to the Regression to the Mean channel, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, like that video, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss any dynasty-related content over the coming months. All right, Aidan, I'm kicking things off today for the first range of picks 1 through 3.
Get after it. Those are the golden tickets this year. Those first couple picks, man. Who, if you had those picks, are you trading away? Who do you need to get rid of those picks?
And the lens that I'm looking through right now is I'm a win now team that for some reason has the 1 through 3. Maybe I acquired it through a trade. I think personally, this range, you have to try and acquire a quarterback. I have a quarterback and I have a wide receiver here as my 2 targets. Trading the first pick overall seems borderline impossible. The person who has it's probably going to overvalue it.
You can't trade it. I don't think you can trade it.
Personally.
It's hard.
It's really hard. It's really hard to trade that pick, especially considering Caleb, Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors. This 1 through 3 range is pretty money. So it's really hard, in my opinion, to find elite value for these picks. But if you're a win now team, I have 2 guys that I'd acquire in this pick range for picks 1 through 3. The first guy that I would try and acquire is Anthony Richardson. It's in the room. Let's get it out there. It's kind of weird to think that trading for a 22-year-old second-year QB is a win now move, but considering Anthony Richardson's style of play and the fact that he only played 10 quarters last season, we don't really know what we're getting here. He kind of feels like a redraft slam dunk, a dynasty mystery, right? Because of the limited sample size,
sure.
But he averaged 29.9 fantasy points and 55 rush yards on 7 designed runs per 4 full quarters. I've never pulled that stat before in my life because this is just a rarity with Anthony Richardson here. But again, over the course of a full game, he averaged 30 fantasy points and 55 rush yards on 7 design runs per game. One of my favorite stats, and I hit this on our QB episode when we ranked the top 12 QBs. If you haven't had a chance to watch that, go ahead, do it. It is in our feed. It's a great episode. He accounted for 33% of his team's carries inside of the 5-yard line, and he only played 10 full quarters. So kind of crazy to think the kind of impact he had on his team when he was out there. Do I think that over the course of a full season, he would average 30 fantasy points per game? No. But if he did, that would be the best of all time. I will say that though that this is a limited sample size, he was highly efficient. He averaged 0.76 fantasy points per dropback, which is the highest since Lamar Jackson in 2019. Fantasy points per dropback is a pretty sticky metric year over year because it takes into account rushing, and I don't think Anthony Richardson's going to stop rushing anytime soon. I think the Colts have solid weaponry around Anthony Richardson. I like Michael Pittman. I like Josh Downs. For the Jelani Woods truthers out there, I'm a fan. He didn't play this season because of injuries,
The
but
Jelani
I like Jelani Woods. They have the 15th pick in the draft. They could take Brock Bowers if he falls to him. They could take a wide receiver. They'll probably take like a defensive player knowing Ballard, but I like what they've done and surrounded him in talent. Love JT. I think that running game is going to be absolutely nasty. If you've listened to this podcast before, you know how much I love Shane Steichen and the impact that he's had on young quarterbacks such as Justin Herbert, such as Jalen Hurts. So I feel really good about the situation with Richardson. But again, he has a surgically repaired right throwing arm and played in 4 games, 10 full quarters last season as a rookie. So you're really buying him with kind of not really understanding what he is as a player, what he's going to do over the course of a full season. It's an incredibly risky move. But if you're in a win now situation, I think that he unlocks your ceiling in 2024. Like the ceiling is slate breaking potentially. And in terms of future flexibility, if he's really good in 2024 and you win your dynasty league, you can turn around and flip him. Or if it becomes pretty clear that he changes his playing style a bit and year one was just kind of a freak aberration in terms of injuries, then you're fine. You're set. You have your quarterback for the next 5 to 6 years. So I feel like it's a great win now trade. It's definitely risky considering Caleb Williams is on the board, considering Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably the safest pick you can make in Dynasty. And then Malik Neighbors, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, whatever your flavor is at the 103 in Superflex, it's definitely a risky move, but I really like Richardson as somebody to target.
I think risky is the best way to put it, but like the ceiling is unlimited with this guy. Like he was well on his way to probably finishing his like fantasy QB1 this year. And that's not to discount what Josh Allen did. It was freakish, like what he was doing when he was on the field this year. It felt like the offense is perfectly designed for him. He's going to get to play with JT this year, as you mentioned. I'm hoping Michael Pittman stays. It feels unlikely that he gets out of there, just, with the tag and everything that, like, especially with this new cap space too, like they can pay him. So yeah, I like the weapons, like you said. And yeah, he's young. Like it's risky. It's unlimited upside, but it's risky. But it's risky. With his age and like what we've seen flashes of, like there's no reason why like he can't be like a top 3 QB on like an annual basis. So yeah, I'm not trading the 101 for him.
102 and 103 probably.
102 and 103. I'm thinking long and hard about this one. Yeah, it's my communication lines would be open with league mates on this one about this one. Yeah, definitely. So no, that's a good one.
The second guy, I think you could trade away the 103 straight up for Puka Nacua. That is my second guy that I have here. Very on brand. A-Rich and Puka.
Oh, man.
So here we go. Again. Here we go. So just bear with me. Okay. Over the past 23 seasons, from the year 2000 to 2023, only 6 wide receivers have cleared 17 fantasy points per game as a rookie. Those receivers are OBJ, Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua, Justin Jefferson, and Michael Thomas. Out of those 6 guys, each player went on to score 17 plus points per game at least once over the next 2 years. Bolden was the only one who didn't do it as a sophomore because he was injured, but he scored 20 points per game in his 3rd year. 6 out of 6 guys went on to score 18 plus points per game at least once over the next 2 years. 5 out of 6 guys went on to score 19 plus. Jamar Chase is the only guy who hasn't yet, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. And 3 out of 6 went on to score 20 plus. Bolden, OBJ, and Jefferson. So the point here is that if you clear the 17 points per game threshold, it's a pretty sticky metric that you're a really good football player. And I'm not quite sure where Puka fits into this range amongst these 6 guys, but considering how dominant he was as a rookie, the fact that Cooper Kupp is aging out, and that Matthew Stafford is still at the top of his game, I think Puka is in line to expand upon his massive rookie season, maybe run into some touchdown regression positively. I'd feel a little bit squeamish about giving up the rights to Neighbors or MHJ for Puka, but the best case odds for both of these guys in year one is if they step in and do what Puka did in year one. right? Like that's
Yeah.
the best case scenario is that they have a Puka season. So it's a little bit funny to think of a guy who people were drafting in the 3rd and 4th round of rookie drafts is now the mystery boat. Like, hey, MHJ could have a Puka season. It could be Puka. So I think, long term, does MHJ better have a career? That's a different discussion. But if you are trying to cash in, get a young asset, and win now, I think Puka is someone I'm willing to go after with the 103. Maybe try and get a 2nd or 3rd back. Maybe get a little bit. Maybe you get Puka and like a mid-second, late second for the 103 potentially. But at the end of the day, I know we're thinking name brand versus off brand here and draft capital, like how we hype guys up pre-draft. Like Neighbors is someone I really like. MHJ, you know how much I love MHJ. I just think we can't deny what Puka did. And I think a lot of people still are just kind of like, oh, 1-year aberration, when in actuality, these guys that do this as rookies tend to continue to be elite over time.
Yeah, that's another bold one. These are both bold trades. And they're very on brand for you, which is good. It's you've been 10 toes, I guess make it 20 with like both these guys combined. So yeah, I like it. I think I'd rather acquire the other guy who I know that you were kind of tiptoeing around with. I think I'd probably prefer ARSB in this range. I know they're ranked pretty similar on like Trade Cut and a couple of other sites. Just given the samples bigger, to your point, like I don't think it's a 1-year aberration. I do think Puka is quite talented. But I really like ARSB. Love the scheme he's in. Love being tied to Goff, who's likely going to get extended this. I think they're both going to get extended this summer, actually. At least one of them are going to get paid, especially with this new cap too. But it's been rumored that both of them are, pretty close to a deal. But no, I like it. I don't think I'm doing it for 102 personally. I don't think there's a receiver that I'm trading really for the rights to Marvin Harrison Jr. 103 though. Yeah, I'm absolutely considering this again. So we'll get into each of these buckets as we go, but like it really depends like in what range of this 3-pick bucket am I considering each person. So like 103, and I'm absolutely making that call.
103 Puka, 102 Richardson, 101 good luck. Let me know if you traded the 101 or traded for the 101 recently in the comments below. All right,
Yeah,
Aidan,
I'd like to see what you got.
moving on to picks 4 through 6. Who do you got?
Cool. So I'm going to start with kind of the early bucket of, so I'm going to start like closer to more so like 104, maybe 105. And this is a guy that went quite high last year in Dynasty drafts. So 1-1 in most drafts. So you're sitting at 104. And at this point, you can pretty much guarantee Marvin Harrison Jr. and Caleb Williams are gone. So it leaves you with a couple guys. Is Neighbors there? Is Jaden Daniels there? Is Drake May there? And then you got Odunze or Brock Bowers. There's very little I'm doing to move off of 104. Like it's kind of the early bucket. Like those top pick. 4 guys are pretty elite. Like I want an established, like young piece. Someone that is very good already, and someone that is going to be on my team for a while. And I've got Bijan. You probably argue here, like I want a QB back in return, given that Jaden Daniels or Drake May are going to be there. But in my opinion, the upside with Bijan is pretty unlimited here. He's still just 22 years old, coming off an RB9 season in which all of us really felt like he underperformed. The snap count and usage was nowhere near what we really thought it was going to be. Going into next year, though, with their new offensive coordinator, Zach Robinson, I think he's going to get a ton more touches. And I really see Bijan as a guy that is kind of a lock for like a top 5 running back finish, assuming he's healthy, pretty much at least for the next 3 or 4 years while he's in Atlanta under that rookie deal. Just like the age, the usage, and just like the overall talent is just, pretty eye-popping to me. So like this is a guy, like I'm not trading 104 unless I'm getting a guy that is like, a surefire stud that's going to be like a difference maker on my dynasty roster for years to come. So for that reason, I penciled in Bijan here as my kind of 104 trade target.
I love that because some people that land in the 104, 105 range, which I have in a dynasty league, is because I lost both my quarterbacks. Both my guys got hurt to season-ending injuries, and I was just done. Like you could be in a position where you have 2 quarterbacks in a superflex league, and you desperately need a running back, right? Or you desperately need a splashy addition to your team that's young and cost controlled that'll be on a rookie deal for at least 2 to 3 more years. And that feels like a really good trade for Bijan Robinson or even like Jahmyr Gibbs, right? If you wanted
Yep.
to go get one of these really young running backs, the guys who have them probably are a little squeamish to give them up, but maybe
For
they're
sure.
more excited to go after a quarterback. Maybe they're excited to go after
Exactly.
neighbors. Maybe they're infatuated with one of these receivers in this class. So I think that's a super fair trade. I like that one. What's your next one you've got?
So I'm keeping it at the skill position. We're gonna keep it mildly biased, but this is one that I actually feel is quite accurate too. I'm looking at it from the 106 position. So at this point, again, I'm making the assumption all three of the top QBs are gone. Neighbors and Marvin Harrison are gone. At this point, you're looking at
Odunze or
versus
Bowers.
or Bowers.
Yeah.
At that point, you're looking for a playmaker for your dynasty roster. And at this point, I'm looking at a 26-year-old coming off career highs that has just gotten the 1-1 as his quarterback, and that's DJ Moore. At this point, kind of looking at neighbors too, like a lot of the neighbors comps are DJ Moore. So at this point, like you're looking for this playmaker, and why not just go get one that's already established?
Yeah.
There's no telling it exactly where Dunze or Brock Bowers are going to go, and how do they translate. DJ Moore was just wide receiver 6 on the year with Justin Fields, and many would argue Caleb is likely going to be an upgrade there for him. Again, 26 years old, going to be in Chicago at least 2 more years. I'd be shocked if they don't work to get a deal done with him to keep him there longer, especially with the drafting of Caleb Williams, which many assume. So I'd feel pretty comfortable going to get DJ Moore and giving up the 106. Again, like going back to my 104 kind of thought process, I need like an established dude. I want someone, and we get the 106, like you're looking at a flex player that is going to plug right in from day one and give, top 10 positional value. And DJ Moore already gives you that at a pretty young age for a cheap price. So I really like DJ here.
I think I'd rather have DJ Moore than Odunze. Bowers is the one, especially in tight end premium.
In tight end premium,
he might even be gone by then.
For sure. In tight end premium, he could go 4 or 5.
Draft capital too for Bowers. It's like a lot of people think he'll be top 10. Maybe he falls because of the Kyle Pitts experience and because of tight ends, right? I'm very curious to know where Bowers lands. I feel like that one.
I'm excited.
I'm cautiously optimistic about DJ Moore over Brock Bowers, but like if I gave up the rights to Bowers and he just turns into like supercharged George Kittle,
It'd be
I'm pretty bummed about it. I'm pretty bummed about it. But I like that. I think that's
moreover, Odunze feels like an easy one. Yeah,
I'm good.
The Bowers part of that decision is tricky. And depending on, how's the NFL draft happen, you'll have a better idea of what it's look like. But as of today, you don't. So you have a bit more flexibility there with your league mates in terms of like there's still a lot of unknown there, which, gives you a bit more leverage there.
Okay, cool. I like that. Moving on to picks 7 through 9 here. So these ones I would be comfortable trading 7 through 9 easily for. This is a really weird range of rookie drafts where you have this clear 6. And if you get a top 6 pick, you're in a good spot. Everything else, I think you're going to have to really dive into the rookies, really lean into where they get drafted. Like Brian Thomas Jr. has a ton of upside, but wherever he lands, I think will be super important to his development. Like JJ McCarthy's a sleeper pick here. If he goes top 10, it'd be really hard not to take him in this range, right? Just because of the value of quarterbacks and the upside that he could have as a potential starter for you. But these two guys I feel comfortable trading over pretty much anyone that goes in this range. The first one I have is Arizona Cardinal tight end Trey McBride. In week 8, the Cardinals stopped playing Zach Ertz and they committed to McBride. From week 8 to the end of the season, here's where Trey McBride ranked amongst all tight ends. First in target share, first in first read share, first in receiving yards market share, second in yards per route run to George Kittle, second in expected fantasy points to David Njoku, and third in fantasy points per game behind Njoku and Hawkinson. He's 24 years old. He won't be 25 until midseason. He became a go-to target to Kyler Murray almost immediately upon Kyler's return from ACL surgery. I think there's a little bit of concern here. The Cardinals draft Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors. I still think in year 1, McBride will be the focal point of their passing offense. And I think he's going to be the number 1 option, especially playing off of a rookie wide receiver in Drew Petzing's offense next year. So in tight end premium, I think this is an absolute no-brainer. Even in standard PPR, I think I would still probably make this trade. Considering that Bowers is probably off the board at this point, I feel really comfortable passing on Thomas Jr., Troy Franklin, or JJ McCarthy for Trey McBride. So that I'm all in on McBride. I think he's just an excellent player, and I would love to go pick him up as a year three guy after his year 2 breakout.
Yep. No, I'm with you here. Like, this is tight end 1 potential.
Yeah.
What he flashed, like once Ertz was no longer in the fold, was pretty incredible. And it shouldn't have been a surprise too. Like, given what he did in college, like, we were waiting on him. It was kind of just like a matter of when. Like, he flashed at the end of his rookie year, didn't quite get like the bulk of the touches at the tight end position to start the year, and then absolutely exploded. Kyler Murray's going nowhere, which is kind of a surprise to us. We kind of spent all of 2023
egg on my face. Egg on my face. That was a big swing and a miss on my part there.
Yeah, so we missed out, but it's like they're going to draft Marvin Harrison Jr., they're going to have Kyler Murray, and they're going to have Trey McBride, and that offense is going to be very #fun. So I like that. To your point, it's like, yeah, once like, and you made the point too, like the top 6, I would argue like the top 7 are, like, there's a very clear drop off. Once you get into these, like, if you're in win now mode, go get guys that like are going to plug into your roster and get you that positional value on a weekly basis. So no, I'm with you there. Trey McBride is a beast. I'm excited for year 3 with him.
The thing that is nice with McBride when you're projecting a stud rookie coming in the offense, he wasn't a big air yards guy. So I don't think his role would change. Like, if they bring in Marvin Harrison, they're going to stick Marvin Harrison at X, and they're going to have him run a lot of the deep shots. I don't think that really impacts Trey McBride's ability to win over the middle of the field.
I don't think so too. Huge red zone threat too. Like, big body, shirt.
Yeah,
God, dude, his hands are insane. He catches everything.
He's legit, really good player. So I would go acquire him easy in this range. And then my second guy is Rashee Rice, the wide receiver, year 2 wide receiver out of the Kansas City.
Yeah.
Truly fantastic season for Rice. He finished with PFF's second highest grade amongst all rookies, finished second in yards, targets, receptions, and TDs amongst rookies, and he finished third in yards per route run behind Puka and Tank Dell. When you zoom out and you look at his performance across all wide receivers, he finished second in the entire NFL in yak, only to Deebo Samuel. He was 9th in receptions. He cleared over 100 receptions as a rookie. He was 15th in yards. He was 15th in yards per route run. In his back half of the year, numbers were even better. From weeks 10 to 17, he was the wide receiver 13, averaging 17 fantasy points per game, and he was the wide receiver 17 in expected fantasy points per game. Rookie wide receivers don't do that well typically in Andy Reid's scheme, Aidan. He went out and in the back end of the year put on a borderline wide receiver 1 with a mid-tier wide receiver 2 role. I think that's ultra bullish, and I love the role that he has. It's an absolute fantasy goldmine. He played 50% of his snaps in the slot and 50% of his snaps outside. He's getting layup targets from the best quarterback in the NFL. So I'm just going to take that every day of the week, twice on Sunday. And again, KC rookies have historically struggled under Andy Reid, but he quickly earned his role and became a core contributor on a gulp Super Bowl winning team, which is mega bullish for his future in the NFL. I think there's a ton of meat on the bone too for Rice, because Rice was a downfield receiver in college. You go look at his highlights and he's like just making big time plays downfield. He didn't do any of that in the NFL in year 1. So like if he continues to be this power slot yak guy who's able to expand his route sheet a little bit downfield with his yak ability, his red zone prowess, he's like on that Nico Collins range of like just really special yak deep downfield guys that you just want all in, which is like top 5 wide receiver and fantasy upside. So I'd easily trade Rice for any guy in this range. I'm a little worried if like Drake May or Jaden Daniels or Brock Bowers falls to the 107 or 108, but I don't think they will.
Way.
So
no way.
I'd take Rice every day.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. I think we're just scratching the surface with him, to your point. I feel like once like the route participation picked up during the second half of the year, it was like absolute like go-to target at the wide receiver position. I do anticipate them to bring in someone else, whether it be with their first round pick or a guy like Mike Evans or something, which I think is fine. I think that only helps him. Like that wide receiver room desperately needs help, which takes a little tension off him. So no, I like that. Like if you're considering, like Rashee Rice over, a Troy Franklin or someone
who might be a chief, right? Who could be a chief at the end of the first.
So it's like, just go get, again, like these are win now moves. You want the guy, like I don't want the mystery box. I want the guy. I want
with
the guy
upside too.
That's proven
right?
production. So no, I like that one. He is the rare rookie wide receiver to break the Andy Reid trust tree and actually get in his good graces. So that was really impressive. It took half a year for Andy to give in, but I think he realized what was in front of him. I was like, this needs to be expanded. So Yeah, go get Rashee Rice.
Picks 10 through 12. Take us home.
10 through 12. So this is a fun range. I think to your point, you mentioned JJ McCarthy. I think here you're going to be looking at guys. There's going to be at least one of those top 5 QBs left, whether it be JJ, Bo Nix, or Michael Penix Jr. So for that reason, looking at them, like I don't see any of them ever being like a top 5 QB. I think
probably not.
You hope maybe at one point they're a top 10, top 15 QB, which I think is probably a ceiling for any of them. So at that point, I'm going to go get a QB that pretty much lives in that range. I think it's super safe, and it's none other than Jared Goff.
I knew it. Oh, I knew it.
Goff's
been your guy for oh my
Jared
God.
Goff.
I was like, he's going to say Goff. I know it.
Yeah.
Why pay for Michael Penix, who's basically Jared Goff?
Like best case scenario for Michael Penix Jr. is like he's Jared Goff. Last 2 years in Detroit, he's been QB 10. He was QB 7 last year, QB 10 the year prior. Ben Johnson didn't leave, which, big shock to many. And it's very consistent. Like, is Ben Johnson ever going to leave? I don't know. Like, I don't know why he didn't leave this year. Maybe he just likes being a coordinator,
He loves Detroit winters.
Maybe he's a coordinator. Yeah. So I'd assume they probably bring in some wide receiver help too. He's got Sam Laporta. He's got ARSB. He's got an absolute beast of a backfield in Monty and Jahmyr Gibbs. Yeah, it's like this guy pretty much just like wakes up and throws for 4,500 yards and 30 touchdowns. Like you pretty much pencil it in. The O-line's really good. Too. So in my opinion, like here you're probably looking at one of those QBs and it's like just go get the QB that we're hoping any of them turn out to be. I think JJ maybe has like a slightly different like career like ceiling because of his rushing upside, but like Bo Nix and Michael Penix, if either one of them turn out to be, 2022, 2023 Jared Goff, like you're pretty fucking stoked with your pick. So just go flip Jared Goff. It's like it's exactly what it's back to the mystery box. This is exactly what you're hoping is inside of the box, and you're getting it for that pick there. So no, I'm a huge Jared Goff supporter. I rip on him all the time, but I think super talented, super consistent.
The back end of this draft is interesting. Like, you have to think a high upside running back might be able to slip in because it's just a bunch of receivers, right? Like your Keon Colemans of the world are in there, which have a ton of question marks. Like maybe Bucky Irving is somebody that like, oh, could I get Bucky with the 12th pick? And then I'm a little reticent about trading for Goff. But yeah, in a 2-quarterback league, you can go get Jared Goff with the 109, 110. Just do it.
Yeah.
He's going to get a contract. ARSB is going to get a contract. Ben Johnson's there at least another year. And nothing about Jared Goff's game indicates that he is going to get bad as he gets older.
He's 29. He's not that old. Like he's probably still got a half decade left in the NFL of like pretty high quality football. It feels like
this is a half baked take here, but I feel like there's a world where like Jared Goff's an MVP front runner by week 10. It's like the Lions retribution tour.
For sure.
He's just ripping touchdowns.
They play indoors 90% of the season too. It's awesome. It's absolutely
crazy.
Awesome.
It's crazy.
Yeah, Minnesota. Okay. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's awesome. It's just Dome Bros Incorporated. All right, you are taking Jared Goff, and then who's your second guy that you're targeting?
So we actually kind of teased it a little bit. So I think I'm thinking about this from like the 112 position. All the quarterbacks are probably gone. There might be one more there. Most of those wide receivers are gone, and you're probably starting to think like, does a running back sneak into the first round? Does a Bucky Irving? There's a couple different running backs that, might make their way here in the first round. Blake Corum. Yeah. And at that point, it's kind of a similar argument as Goff. Like, I'm going to go get a proven running back here. I want a young running back. I want a guy that's tied to an elite offense. So very young, and that's James Cook.
Oh,
I'd be comfortable.
I'd
be very comfortable giving up the 112 for James Cook. This is another guy too. Like
that's a fun trade.
It feels like we haven't reached his ceiling yet. He was RB12 in a year where he only had 6 touchdowns. It was just like uber efficient, but the Josh Allen show in the end zone, definitely took away some of his pay dirt opportunities. But the second half of the year, if you take away like the fantasy playoffs, he kind of disappeared in those 2 weeks, which was a fat bummer for owners after like,
unfortunate,
because like that first month under Brady was like, yes. This is exactly who we thought he was going to be. And then kind of a no show for 2 weeks, which was a bummer. But again, this is a guy that's 24 years old. He's going into year 3. So he's going to be there for at least 2 more seasons in Buffalo. I'd assume this is a guy they want to build around. This is a very talented running back, both in the passing and rushing game. And again, this is, this guy's proven. This is a guy that's trending up. I don't think we've reached his ceiling yet. And for the 112, it's like, go get him. You just won your league. You're sitting at 112. Go get more pieces. Like, why take a gamble on someone that who knows what it's going to be when you can go get another player and make another run at a championship? So James Cook for me to round us out here.
Love it. Year 3 guy. I hope they draft somebody who's a little more consistent behind him so they could have like a mix-in back that works with
Split
James
him a
Cook's
little
game. But I think they found a role for him, and he looked really good in the role. If he's so good as a receiver running routes, his hands are terrible though. We gotta get the sticky
on the jug
glue
machine
on his hands. Yeah, because he's really good route runner and really good in space. But yeah, his hands are a little inconsistent. But I like that. So we are trading for it. If you have the picks 1 through 3, I like Anthony Richardson. I like Puka Nacua. If you have picks 4 through 6, Aidan thinks you should trade for
Bijan Robinson and DJ Moore.
If you have picks 7 through 9, I think you should take a hard look at Trey McBride and Rashee Rice.
Bringing us home at the end of the first round. If you've got picks 10 through 12, get yourself Jared Goff or James Cook.
That's a good group. I think those are going to be guys I'm drafting a ton of in redraft. I'm kind of tipping
for sure.
Here,
yeah, those are guys that I already drafted last year that I'll be drafting again. So yeah, we'll be talking about these guys all summer. So don't go anywhere. You might get
let us know your thoughts. If you have any trade questions, drop them in the comments below. If you want to yell at us, feel free to do so. We love it. I stand on business, on business actually with my 4 guys. So come at me. I'll be active in the YouTube comments. Again, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead. You know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. Aidan, we appreciate you. Until next time.